few seconds. All right, great. We're live. Greetings to the body of the people. This man called Chris Dorsey, and you're tuned into the people of God. So there you have it. Thanks for joining us. I'm on the primary account. Not certain why we're not getting any action on here yet, but hey, thousands of people watch this by the end of the week, so I don't know whether Facebook is hiding folks from this broadcast or what the heck's going on. But anyway, we're live. So, um, just gonna go over and repeat ourselves over and over again. Um, Tonight's title: Mask Madness this week in Agenda 21, People of God. It's People of God Church. Thanks for tuning in. Nice to have y'all on the broadcast. We're gonna get rapidly going here in a minute into the specifics, but just an overall summation from my point of view, from our point of view, and that's, I guess, anyone who is in agreement about what is happening around us and how it is all bad. There's no bit of good coming with this rapid change in the way human beings are living, behaving, believing, not opposing. It is shocking even to me, when we see like how easily and how much of a BS story it is that they roll out. So they're getting rid of cash. That's just a matter of fact. Hey, greetings. Thanks, Amanda. And I just like to point out Amanda made a phone call to Channel 13, which is a local news channel, one of the mainstream, one of the major news channels down around the Tidewater, Virginia area. That's Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads, Williamsburg. They're the ones that watch those TV networks, and that's their news. And she called them up and basically just called them out for putting out false coronavirus numbers, asking where it's coming from. It's Commonwealth of Virginia generated. They also cover, well, of course, I forgot about the North Carolina. So Southeast North Carolina also gets those news channels. So that's the Outer Banks, and even not Southeast but Northeast North Carolina gets the Channel 13, Wavy 10, but she called Channel 13, and yeah, check it out. It's Amanda Danielle, and she's commenting, so you can follow her feed and watch the video. Clifford's on. I don't know. Maybe we're gonna try to see if we can invite Clifford on. I'm gonna try to add Clifford, see if that's gonna work for us. I'm adding Clifford. It says adding. It didn't add immediately, but hopefully, well, we'll see. So anyhow, yeah, check out Amanda Danielle, Amanda Bays. Check out her video where she calls. I mean, it's something to be done. It really is. It's something to question everything and say, hey, if this is for real, we don't wish to be wrong about it, but we got to check out and see what the heck you're talking about. Um, I don't know anybody who knows anybody who has the coronavirus or had the coronavirus or anything like that. It's getting absurd. It says no answer from guests. I'm gonna try that again. Um, I don't know, maybe Cliff, but it doesn't seem to be working. So yeah, where where are these coronavirus numbers? I mean, why is this strange? You know, I don't know. Like everything is symbols to me, and to everybody else who sees what's really going on. And I made a video right at the beginning of that. I mean, right at the beginning of the George Floyd phase of this Agenda 21 offensive. And so I made the video talking about um, Neil Kashkari, who is the president of the Minneapolis Federal Reserve Bank, and the fact that he, I got a caller, it's all ones, and now I don't even know if I can. Okay, so I got a caller. Hopefully that's Cliff. Okay, so Cliff, excellent news. So we're talking about Neil Kashkari and the Fed has infinite cash, combining with that's Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari, which spells sounds like cash carry, like cash carrying cash. Um, yeah, carrying the cash. Then George Floyd, the whole George Floyd incident allegedly occurs through a use of a counterfeit $20 Federal Reserve note. And now, that's we went through all that. Nobody calls, over the police don't show up in force like that over a 20 counterfeit 20. And normally no one's gonna call the police. In all of my time in retail, I've been in retail. I guess that's the job industry that I've labored in, uh, as far as when I was either an employee or an employer. Yeah, we never called over counterfeit 20, so that's ridiculous. Then the next phase in this cash uh cashless society and money psyop, is when folks are folding up the $20 bills and where it says 2020, it looks like that. I guess it's Hamilton is wearing a mask. Cliff, you seen that? Have you seen that? And anybody watching? Have y'all seen that? Okay, I'm gonna look that up, and I'm gonna see about if we can find that. If anybody else wishes to look that up, and then we'll continue on while I'm doing that with the latest in the in the cashless society psyop. They tell us now that, hey, we're not really accepting cash unless you pay with exact change because we're low on change. We haven't produced enough coins here in the Federal Reserve System, and so we're gonna go kind of no, like either stores are pocketing the extra change. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing stuff on TV saying that that's a major deal because there's these apps that act like folks are just gonna throw away these coins, like they're gonna throw them in the garbage can, and that they can now be um, digitally banked, digitally consolidated and gathered, saved, like in a piggy bank, like a virtual piggy bank, and um, and so I know it's not nothing, and I know if I had cash and I needed to pay for something and I was supposed to get back 10 cents change, 5 cents change, 4 pennies change, I would just say, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna buy it just because they're overcharging me whatever whatever fraction of the purchase price. I mean, it's out of convenience. Just like nobody is complaining about the credit card fees that they have to pay. I mean, I'm not saying nobody is complaining. I'm saying it's it that it can't be stopped. It Folks are not going to refuse to buy things that they wish for, want, or require. And so now it's just going to be, again, we're moving away from this from this society where folks have really any control, where it's any sort of rational or logical fairness at all in any, and they're just saying like, hey, whatever, you know who cares, who cares if you figured it all out. Who cares um if you get ripped off uh more than ever. Who cares? What are you going to do about it? Nobody's going to do anything. And I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like they're not going to stop. um this is very strange because I saw lots of stuff on the on when I looked up the $20 bill mask, face mask on Andrew Jackson, not Hamilton Jackson. Sorry. Um, let's see. Oh, and that's the one that they're gonna change too. Isn't that funny? That's the one they're gonna change to Harriet Tubman, right? No.
Supposedly, I haven't really heard much about that since the last time they put that propaganda out there.
Yeah, and if anybody can find that and put it in the comment section, I'd really like to see that because
Found the YouTube video.
yeah, I mean that's what I was getting ready to say. It's just YouTube videos, and like I mean I really don't like promoting that because I mean right now I mean I don't put anything on YouTube because I'm we're blocked out of posting on YouTube. So I'm just very suspicious um about all this as far as who's left on YouTube. I was just thinking I put my first video up on YouTube in 2008, in the fall of 2008, and and it was myself and several other individuals that were interrogating uh, Congressman Bobby Scott and his lawyer for a couple hours, mostly regarding torture, the United States government being involved in torture, and the illegal war in Iraq, and a little bit about 9/11, and so again, that's 12 years, and a lot of the YouTube stuff, it just it just it's like fabricated. It's not for the it's not for like regular individuals. It's for just government agents and moneyed interest. That's what it's for right now, and and one can't really tell the truth about what's going on in the world on YouTube at this point. So, um, I mean, there's elements of the truth, but again, they won't let anything combine it. I got a strike on that video. They said it was hate speech that I made about the Neil Kashkari saying the Fed has infinite cash, and also combining that with the George Floyd counterfeit $20 bill in the same city. Minneapolis. What are the odds of that kind of uh, coincidence that the head of the Minneapolis Federal Reserve Bank is going to be talking about how the Federal Reserve has infinite cash, and then what kicks off a big operation with Agenda 21 and the continuity of operations and COG, continuity of government, um, I guess emergency uh, FEMA and Department of Homeland Security directive. I mean, that's combined with Agenda 21. It's all one and the same thing. Agenda 21 and continuity of government is the same thing. That's where we live in the United States. They have this plan. They have a worldwide agenda with the Bank for International Settlements. Just read the Green Swan, and that's the emergency rules, and that's the emergency overall plan that they're implementing. So, I mean, we have that verified, and so, I mean, when we put that out there, when we put that out there, we're told that's hate speech, and it's basically, I'm like, hate speech. Why? I mean, I'm like, yeah, they when they took that down, the video, I mean, it had some views, but like it had it hadn't really caught its stride yet, and it would help connect the dots later on when talking about this this you know each step of the agenda, where it's like, yeah, well, that's what's going on, and here's the latest, and it's cashless society, and like the $20 bill, um counterfeit, propaganda, but it's, at the same time that they're worried about the somebody allegedly died over something that I don't know any retailers, and I certainly wouldn't myself call the police over a counterfeit 20. That's for the bank to deal with, not the police. That's for, I mean, maybe, if any police would show up, it would be the Federal Reserve Bank police. I presume they got that in Minneapolis as well. I know they got them in Richmond. They're all over the place. They used to stalk me miles away from the Federal Reserve Bank. So, I mean, you got to think about like what's rational and what's logical, and that's it. And this idea that we don't have any more change. I mean, it's silly. I really don't. I don't buy it. I mean, I buy that it's planned that they just didn't make them or they're not distributing them. Um, yeah, they say I just did talk to text, and I did not say the song. Huh. Amanda Danielle says, love listening to your show while I'm at work. You're masking the song Fly by Truth. Oh, okay. She says, she just did talk to text. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Facebook keeps botching her comments. Right on, right on. That okay? That makes sense now. Right on. Thanks, Amanda. Um, all right. So like, this is why I hate Facebook and why you know, I did things differently when I not Facebook, YouTube. I mean, because I really I really don't get, why everyone draws everything out. But in any event, yeah, this stuff where they say no more change. I don't know. Are they doing that in Mexico? Now, Cliff,
No,
coins.
nothing like that. I mean, here because everyone is, I guess you could say, there is a lower level of education. They're even more buying into the mask thing in some ways, and other people
So,
they can, but nothing.
Cliff, can you do? We lost you for a second there. Can you hear me? Mm, we seem to have lost Cliff. Hopefully, Cliff will come back on here in a second. It's probably a microphone issue with the computer, but in any event, yeah, this mask stuff is just it's out of control. It is absolutely out of control. The inconsistency is out of control, and I mean even the stupid responses that that we get are out of control. Like I don't know, it just becomes like stupid. But in any event, we'll go through it because I mean this. I yet have yet, and I've said from the beginning, if I have to in an emergency, I shall put on a mask. I shall do it. Yeah, I'm not gonna overtly at least even talk about cutting off my nose to spite my face. That being said, I have yet to wear a mask anywhere. I have yet to yeah, Muhammad says wearing a mask for prolonged periods will cause respiratory problems. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I haven't put on a mask. I am pleasantly surprised sometimes uh, when I go into, say, the 7-Eleven and see hardly anybody's wearing a mask. Sometimes I'm disturbed by seeing almost, most of the folks. Yeah, Cliff says internet is cutting out. Most of the folks wearing a mask. I just I just don't get what what the mask thing is. I mean, yeah, Amanda says I'm a nurse, and there are times when a mask is necessary. I, I'm maybe it is. Maybe it is. I mean, but again, um, I think that we have to have a more serious talk about what is the main problem if everyone uh, does need to wear a mask, if it is necessary to wear a mask, and what they're telling us about what's going on, That's not necessary. It's not necessary to wear a mask. Okay. Cliff. Okay. Cliff called back. Okay, so we'll get it good. Hopefully the sound will be better. Cliff, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the comments here. Amanda says, "I will only wear a mask if it is necessary. I will not I definitely will not allow someone to force me some muzzle up. Probably force me to muzzle up. But yeah, I get the total the message there. I was just saying, you know, if there's an emergency and I have to walk into, go ahead.
What disturbs me is that I see people putting these masks on their children, especially outside. I saw a girl on a tricycle with a mask on, and I'm like, that's just not a smart idea.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. Um, okay, yeah, somebody Amanda says if somebody has MRSA, okay, yeah, wear a mask. But again, what like what what a I mean what are the odds that you're gonna you know catch that like walking through a grocery store? And that's not what they're telling us that that's going on. I, that's all I'm saying is
You hear me?
yeah, I can hear you, Cliff. Go ahead. Anyway, something seems to be wrong with that connection. Um, maybe call back. Uh, so I just the compliance with the masks. It just and everything looks horrible. Like I don't. Okay, okay. Sorry, Cliff. Can you hear me now? I think like wherever the freaking speaker is where I hold my put my hand normally. Um, all right. Hey, we got noise in the background, so just if if you can mute that up, Cliff. I don't know if that's on your end or if that's on my end. I don't think that's on my end.
That's going on. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Oh
So
yeah, I can't hear you over the. Sorry, but I can't hear you over the blog talk. I don't know if you can still hear me.
I can hear you on the blog talk. Yeah, I mean you're coming through loud and clear on the blog talk. As far as I know, I mean that's what I'm connected to. Um, uh, that's what you're. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah. Let's keep going and and get back to the mask thing because it's I cannot tolerate.
I can still not hear you over. Yeah, I'm gonna hang up the call.
Oh, okay, okay. So you are you where are you gonna call? Are you gonna okay. Um, always some kind of issue with the technical aspects of the show, and it's not something that we have. It's the same thing every week. It's I mean it's always something, but it's usually not the same. Okay, we got Cliff calling back in. Um,
You hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I should say.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. I don't appreciate, you know, folks. I'm seeing folks put out there that they don't like it when other folks aren't wearing masks and they don't appreciate it. And Oh, hey, thanks, Amanda. Amanda says, I gotta go to close. Just wanted to tip my hat to you, sir. You're one of the few people in the world I agree with all the time. Thank you so much for doing these shows, inspiring everyone you reach. Thank you. That's very nice. Thanks a lot, Amanda. And so I don't appreciate the the fact that other folks are wearing masks because I mean I like to check everyone out, unless there's some kind of real reason to wear a mask. I don't think that everyone should wear a mask. I really am seeing that it's no coincidence that they started this mass protest movement at the same time when they stopped making, it illegal to wear a mask and started to mandate wearing a mask. I mean, this stuff is getting like too telegraphed to me. Um, Everyone can do almost anything anonymously now, or it is more anonymous now. Not to those who have the you know facial recognition technology, but to the average person in real life on the street, it's getting ridiculous. I mean, it's gotten ridiculous. Cliff, I mean, your thoughts on that?
I mean, I mean, yeah. So I mean, that's always the thing they do, where like when they have these counterintelligence operations, and someone says, "Hey, we should be filming stuff," and they say, "Oh, people don't want to be doxxed or like put out there," and it's like, well, the most dangerous entity, the government, has cameras everywhere we are right now. And I tell people, you're a fed if you don't do this. Like, no, you can't do. I'm not gonna have my friends dox you. Some people think if you don't want to be filmed, you're a fed, and it's like, well, who are you hiding? Why are you trying to conceal your identity if you're trying to oppose crimes with the government? So,
Right.
yeah, the mask thing is definitely to make these counterintelligence operations um, go more smoothly. When I see flyers for these different like women's march, march against racism or whatever nonsense they're putting, there people say bring a mask, like they bring a mask, blah blah blah, like do this, do that, and bring a mask. It's like okay, this is getting ridiculous.
Well, I saw that there was a local looked like one of those like sandwich board like open signs um, that they put out on the sidewalk in certain I guess like yuppie neighborhoods around here, or I guess it's more just like complete trash neighborhoods now that everybody's trashing through everything. But in any event, it was just a propaganda thing. It didn't say what anybody was selling or anything. It looked like one of the restaurants where you'd think it would have the specials, or they had like little kind of boutique shops. I mean, I used to have sandwich boards I would put out on the sidewalk in these neighborhoods for my business, and and uh, and basically it would have, hey, this is what we have here. This is what's in the store, et cetera, et cetera. And and now they have these
Do you get
things.
some buzzing?
No, no. They have things like wear a mask, you know, no racism. I mean it's getting ridiculous. I got the freaking all sports are super boring now that they're being played without a crowd of fans or anything like that. Every time that there's some sort of sporting event now, they got to announce how Black Lives Matter and like we got to end racism and that doesn't have a place anywhere. I mean, it's like okay, I turn on my computer. It says the same thing. Netflix, Amazon Prime. It's you turn it on and it's like we support Black Lives Matter. Okay. When has it been, you know, like all right to push like for everyone to agree to push a political agenda, and if one does not agree with with what's going on, then they are chastised by by those that they're giving their money to. I mean, this kind of stuff is I mean, it's shocking. It's difficult to even discuss because it's so absurd and ridiculous. Cliff, I don't. I mean, I guess it's different down there. It's different, not in the United
Well,
States.
yeah, that stuff doesn't exist here. That at least not in that form. I haven't seen anything particularly like that here. Um, but yeah, it's. I mean, now I guess it's going to be a real good time to make a lot of money as like a black conservative. A lot of these black conservative show channels are cropping up, or they're being suggested to me. Um, but it's ridiculous because everyone's just been so programmed that they just say the most ludicrous things with no real thought. It's like it's people are individuals are truly not thinking. They're just reacting, and it's very disturbing, honestly. And then they will project every aspect of their thinking patterns on you. I saw someone post something from Twitter, what I guess is presumably a woman, saying, and I've seen this before, all men benefit from the actions of violent men because um, violent men make looking like a decent guy get an award. And I was just like, what award? What award have I been given for not being a physical abuser? Like, and how do I benefit from like violence carried out against someone else? Like it, and it's just so absurd. And they just parrot this. I guess people call it like Marxist viewpoint. I'm not even sure if that's accurate. This whole perspective
Trotskyist.
stack of
Yeah, I think
yeah, it's Trotskyist.
yeah, Trotskyite,
But
Trotskyist. Yeah, some whatever. That's like a
sort of stuff
Trotsky
like
tactic.
yeah, where they say, oh, women have been historically oppressed by men. When I mean, just the nature of men and women yields that like claim like absurd on its face. Like if men, not to say that women have not suffered at the hands of men, individual women have suffered at the hands of individual men,
Right.
but it's just ludicrous. It's just ludicrous because how does the family unit exist? Like it's just really ridiculous, and it's just indicative of the lack of thinking capacity or lack of will to think among the general
Well,
population. And I
let's
shouldn't say the general population.
and let if we
The
can
general population, like, go ahead.
if we can let's unpack that because I see a lot of propaganda out there that is saying like, hey, well, the reason things are better now uh is because the state has stepped in and that there are gay people now and women can be single parents and all this other stuff. But yeah, it is basically an attack on uh, what's natural and what's good in society. That there's this you know non-binary thing. I really wish to talk about this because this is to me everything else it just starts becoming silly and irrelevant when it's uh it's put out to the public in such an obvious way. So non-binary, that's something that maybe I've been hearing for about maybe up to 10 years. However, it is out as a popular idea and item in the public now. Non-binary and everything is binary. I mean I wish for everyone to know that like every number has a binary code. That's correct. Is isn't it, Clifford? Cliff, I don't know, maybe call back because I can't hear you. Anyway, very frustrating when we get into um, something that I hadn't planned on talking about tonight, but it just came into my head and I've been thinking about it for a while. Every number has a binary code. Yeah. So when they start talking about non-binary, referring to themselves or others as non-binary, everything everything is is a is a okay okay, in binary code each decimal 0 through 9 is represented by a set of four binary digits or bits. The four fundamental arithmetic operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, can all be reduced to combinations of fundamental Boolean algebraic operations or binary numbers. Okay, so yeah, we everything is binary, so we can't say that someone is non-binary. It's just one of those non sequiturs. It doesn't make any rational sense at all. Okay, Cliff's back on. Good, because Cliff is an expert on numbers and gematria and other kinds of numeric studies. Cliff, did you hear what we were talking about? About how
My internet connection come down. I
okay,
caught the last of it,
okay.
saying that
So
everything
so
was
so
binary.
right, okay. When we hear how popularized the term non-binary has become, it is it's everything is binary. So it is a one of the ultimate non sequiturs to state that to refer to as another individual or one to refer to themselves as non-binary. It's a non sequitur. It's one of those like not like it is a mass spell, mind control, mind virus, spell being put on the people because every number and everything is numbers. In a way, everything is numbers. That is a fact. Every number has a binary code. So every number is binary. Everything is binary. And it just, to me, it is insane, but it is a millennial slash, what is it, Generation Z phrase
Yeah,
that makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. Doesn't mean a freaking thing. And I'll tell you, they're putting out a lot of propaganda blaming, especially, I guess the new acceptable slur to put out is to call someone a quote unquote boomer. Um, so uh, I've been watching these shows and these television programs. particularly one called The Politician. It's I think it's a Netflix show, but I think it's a Netflix show. I can't. Uh, it's the same device that I watch Netflix and Prime, whatever's free. I guess Netflix is not free, um, but whatever's not an extra cost. And boomers is a is a slur, and they start stating things like that all the other generations have ruined the earth and now they have to fix it, and that their specialties and techniques are going to be able to do that. Now I can tell you that if the plan keeps going, if the Agenda 21 plan keeps going as in the same direction it is now, yeah, I mean that generation Z and the millennials, they'll be smarter than those who follow them, but these are the dumbest idiots, the dumbest adult human beings probably in the history of humankind, I might say. And I would say my generation is smarter than by and large is smarter than the so-called baby boomers. Um, I think these things like skip a generation, and and the intelligence has certainly skipped the generation uh, called the millennials and the Gen Z. They're so dumb with their stupid things like non-binary. There's no such thing as non-binary. You can't be non-binary. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's one of these fantasy world models. One cannot be non-binary. Even if, even if one would say, okay, what the hell is non-binary? Let's look this up because this is really getting to me, and I'm just having a stream of consciousness show. That's what kind non-binary. Okay, non-binary number. Um, understanding not okay. So like nobody will say what it is, and here's like when one looks up non-binary, it says the first thing that comes up is transex trans trans equality. Sorry, transequality.org, and then it says understanding non-binary, how to be respectful, and what does it say? I'm clicking on it now. Understanding non-binary people, how to be respectful and supportive. I mean, why? Why would I? I mean, I don't understand it. I give it no standing. I I I I wish to comprehend, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. And like, I don't know why I ought to be supportive. I mean, to me, these seem like that. This seems very funny, strange to me. Not funny, like something to laugh at. But the more and more they're mainstreaming these real severe neuroses as being heroic, and anyone who is disturbed by it or questions it is mentally ill. That seems like a major problem to me. That seems like a major issue and problem. um I don't know what else to say. Cliff, are you with us? Oh, I got him on mute. I'm sorry. Cliff, sorry. Can you go ahead?
Yeah, so yeah, it cut out. It just keeps cutting you out, and I can't hear you, so I hang up and call back in. But I put a comment saying that so essentially it's just weaponizing this neuroses. So the way I've always thought about it, even when I was in college, was that well, you pretty much just like for identifies that, I just comprehend them as someone who their sex, their gender is not a very salient characteristic. They don't necessarily desire to conform with particular stereotypes of being a man or a woman. Now, that doesn't make them not male or female.
Right.
That just means they don't conform to certain cultural aspects. And having that happen in these sort of single parent households, you could say, or like very dysfunctional family households, children seem to be growing up with this instead of them coming to realize, oh, I don't like my sex or my gender. You think those interchangeable for the most part. Doesn't have to be this thing that really defines who I am as an individual, or doesn't have to be my main defining characteristic. Instead of just coming to that realization and going on with life, it becomes this neuroses that has to be given a name, and it's like, oh, I don't like to do the things other boys like to do, but I don't. So I'm non, and it's like it's just no. That those are just your preferences. Your preferences don't change the laws of nature.
Right. That's a really great point. That's what I'm getting at. I mean, binary is a thing. Like the 0 through 9 is binary. 1 and 2 is binary. 0 and 1, that's binary. Um, and and yes, they do have all sorts of ways to change people's sex. I remember watching a documentary about the first sex change operations. They were involving individuals who were very going through very severe neuroses, and also I believe it was military, and one of the guys was like a race car driver. The other guy was in the military. Um, but I mean, yeah, this is. I, I don't. I don't wish to degrade or denigrate, but this stuff is getting ridiculous. It's something that wouldn't be accepted in the past, and I wonder how it is now being accepted because, I don't like to be, you know, cruel to individuals. However, this is not like a normal. This is not a. It's not a.
Not help.
It's not healthy. And when they start telling us, like, oh, your behavior has to be changed because you have a certain viewpoint or you don't accept this kind of, uh, I guess, homosexual centric culture, or it's just like, I mean, it's even becoming like a joke, like when you watch stuff like Family Guy or The Simpsons, where it's like, man, how, like, everything's so gay now. Like, we all knew about gay people, like, back before it became, you know 50% of the presenters on TV, 50% of the subject matter of television shows. I mean, that's crazy. That is like the craziest thing. What's going on with this? Why does everything have to be
So,
so homosexual centric now?
so well, I mean, I believe again just inversion. I think that, well, it's not just, it is inversion, but that's how I perceive this now. But I'm looking at this thing about different generations and how generations can be defined by where Pluto is, as far as the zodiac signs. And Generation Z has their Pluto in Sagittarius, and that can be sort of summarized as destroying wisdom. So they, it's this generation is being sort of programmed
Yeah.
whether the convention is an intrinsic part of nature that cannot be changed.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. I don't. I mean, it's that's what they're doing. That's it. I mean, look at the statues in the Confederate monuments, everything of tradition. And yeah, that's fine if something needs to change. Yeah, it needs to change. But you guys are doing the absolute worst nonsense. Um, Here, this one's funny from Cliff. Uh, I agree with Julian Edelman. Black people need to get with him, visit historic monuments, and have uncomfortable conversations. Let's start with the oldest standing synagogue in America. This place was built by Aaron Lopez, who was a slave trader. Julian Edelman is a Mossad agent. Now that's for certain. And what was it? Was it 2 years ago with the Mossad Bowl, where Robert Kraft
Yeah,
was the owner,
it,
Julian Edelman was the MVP, and the Maroon 5 guy was the ripped his shirt open and yeah, Adam Levine. Yeah, yeah, right. Oh man, that was the Mossad Bowl. That was pretty sweet. So like, that
and
was.
of course
Go ahead, Cliff. Sorry.
it had to be the Patriots for the Sod Bowl.
Yeah, the Patriots. Yeah, the Patriots. Yeah, the a different kind of Patriot from the from the original Patriots of America at least. Oh man, I mean this is hey I do like that yeah, repeat that about where Pluto is in for those in Generation
So
Z.
for Generation Z, I would say most, if not all of them, have their Pluto. Pluto is in was in Sagittarius when they were born.
Pluto was in Sagittarius when they were born, which makes them destroy all convention, good, bad, or indifferent. And I started listening to the Book of Enoch again because I keep hearing folks talk about it. Just a wide ranging group of individuals that are discussing the Book of Enoch, and I'm not discounting it. I just, for me, if I'm gonna go listen to something over and over again about what's going on right now, it's definitely it biblically it's the Book of Revelations, but it's the whole thing, and I'm gonna keep listening to the Book of Enoch. I have I have read and listened to the Book of Enoch. So I got a message. I mean, I'm talking to all sorts of different individuals about the Book of Enoch. So I was like, well, better check it out again. Cliff, have you read or listened to the Book of Enoch?
No, just pieces, because that seems to be a thing a lot of people like to talk about or reference to try to make themselves seem legitimate. But I
Yeah,
myself have not read or listened to all of Enoch.
yeah. I noticed that too. I mean that it to me. I would not discount it. Uh, but I mean, there's enough in the King James Bible, which is what I have at my disposal, you know, as far as reading, you know, versions of the Bible, from, I didn't just start reading the Bible when 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I went to Sunday school which I mean that doesn't mean much of anything, but I did start seriously reading the Bible when I was in, I believe, the 8th grade. So it's been something I have done throughout my life. not through, not every step of the way, but it's been a consistency. Um, so uh, I just think I just think I just think it's let's see. I really hope oh, thanks. Oh, thanks. Yeah, sorry. Amanda Bays is sending me a message. Um so anyway,
Just read this post about Generation Z. This woman that goes by Alyssa Trahan wrote on Twitter about Generation Z. I've never known a generation quite like Gen Z. They disrespect anyone older than them. They are incredibly ageist. Astrologically, they have Pluto at Sagittarius, which is about destroying wisdom. It's just a weird quirk they have to get over.
I mean they're not I mean I agree with all that stuff. I agree with every single uh, uh thing about what that they're saying there. Um, but like they're not going to get over it. They're not. I don't think. I mean that because that seems like a stupid, silly comment that somebody from Generation Z would say. Where it's like as soon as they make sense, uh, uh, then they say some nonsense like they need to get over it. They are not gonna get over it. But yeah, I agree 100%. And I will say the millennials, they were like that too. I must say.
Yeah, I would agree.
And every generation has a little
In
bit of.
fact,
Go ahead.
I would say Gen Z. I would say Gen Z like mostly inherits that from the millennials and have just like dialed it up to 11.
Yeah, I mean, like I was getting ready to say, every generation has an element of of that, like ageism. They think that they're smarter, that they have everything figured out, but the pure disrespect for everything, because there's an element of intergenerational conflict, but it doesn't mean that they think like everything that by and large, and this is not, I'm sure there are many exceptions, and there's probably a large percentage of exceptions, and folks like to rebel against the status quo, so I'm sure there's some rebellion justifiably and just for uh, that sake, the sake of being a contrarian. um, they disrespect everything about history, and by doing so they have the worst ability of discerning reality, so they don't
Amen.
realize. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just saying, amen. That's a perfect way to because they disrespect history, a history they do not even properly comprehend. They are the worst equipped at comprehending reality.
Right,
That's perfect.
exactly, exactly. So that's why I mean, they really, they think that things are going well right now. I was watching something and it was like some stupid flashback to like 2012 or something. I'm like, yeah, 2012. It wasn't that bad back then. And then like of course the further I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, the 90s. Yeah, much better than the 2000s. Everything is getting worse. I mean, you know, I could see that. I didn't really get sidetracked because I study history and I see how there's ebbs and flows, but everything right now is getting worse and worse each day. It seems a lot of days when I wake up, things get worse by the hour. So they just don't have any idea on what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And we established that they just what feel they can do whatever they wish, even if it flies in the face of reality. Hey, I'm not non-binary. No, everybody's binary. Even and also e- non-binary is not even the correct way to describe what they would call non-binary. Cliff, am I making sense? Because if you wouldn't be non-binary, you'd be multi-binary. Everybody's binary.
Yeah, and then, I mean, then there's the phrase gender queer. There's lots of, and so many of them are repetitive, and like there's so many terms that, like the term. Are you familiar with the term pansexual?
I've heard that. Yeah.
So what that is so the notion of that is a bisexual is someone, if we're going to be very sort of technical, someone who engages or has a desire for people or individuals of both sexes.
Got it.
But then the caveat is, oh, but what about people who are transsexuals or transgender? So then they come up with pansexual, which is, oh, I'm attracted to people regardless of their sexual orientation, their gender identity. But all that really is a bisexual who does not turn away transsexuals as far as sexual partners. That's all that is. It's just we created this term, and again, you would presume that if someone is sexually attracted to both sexes, then a transsexual individual would not necessarily be a deal breaker for them. But maybe there are individuals who identify as bisexual and say, "Oh, but no, I'm not transsexual." So
All right. All right.
only people that are, and now they have the term cisgender, and it's just I don't know. No one thinks about these terms and how absurd they are, except maybe the people who create them.
It's got to be the persons who create them, because to me the term binary, as we go like more and more into the realm of a computer controlled world, a algorithm controlled world, the word binary is becoming more and more important. More and more use is given to the term binary, because when you figure it out, you're like, oh my God, the binary code is 0 1 for 5 is 0 1 0 1. That's no wonder there's all this five symbolism with the you know, occulted knowledge. It's the binary code. Oh, and everything has a binary code. Everything is a binary algorithm. We're all binary. It's like binary is like not a word that you know, that used to be used, but now, like you said, Cliff, they're misusing it by saying non-binary. And when you were talking about pansexuals, I was like, man, you know, I'm confused. Like it's too much to keep up with, but I know everything is binary. Everything has a binary code. So everything is binary, and when they tell us something is non-binary, it doesn't make any sense. And so it's not reality based. So this is a non-reality based thing, and that's another delusional thing. So when all the ways that we're describing the masses, the majority of those belonging to an entire generation called the millennials and Generation Z, what that means is that they have a mass delusion. And I also believe the baby boomers have a mass delusion. Their mass delusion is that the government is out to help them, and that if you don't believe that, then you have a binary choice to be a Republican or a Democrat. So it's all binary. They just haven't put it all together, and that's because they had a severe mind control operation going on. Uh, for us, I mean, for my generation, I think for a lot of us, they just try to, I guess, mass abuse Generation X. I think that was the basic thing, and also the usury system is really ingrained in in the baby boomers and in Generation X. Now, I would say
So,
that, well, because the next generations, unless they are part of a small percentage of the population, they are going to be poor. They're going to be poorer. Like, for example, we in Generation X are poorer than our parents, but and they are poorer than their parents. Um, but it is a drastic level of poverty that the masses of Generation Z and the millennials have, that I've seen, at least. I don't know if you agree, Cliff.
I mean, I see it getting harder for those generations. It's more difficult. I mean, I never really knew that like homeless kids were like a thing, but like in San Francisco, the longer I was there, the more I just saw like bands of kids roaming the streets at night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. That Hey, this is a good segue into more of the failed society. And I'm not interested in like fighting with the public. I don't really care what the public thinks. um, I am interested in fighting my enemy, those who are a threat to me and our way of life, threat to us and our way of life. Uh, I'm not interested in fighting the public. I'm interested in a fair military fight, in a fair war. Um, we won't get that, so I wish to fight in an all out war. But this is 32%. Can't Didn't pay rent. Did not pay rent. All right, so we're gonna get this
So
headline
where's
up
that?
here.
I
Go.
want to get into the obfuscation of the sex trafficking, and there's been a lot of stuff going on. So of course there was the Ghislaine Maxwell situation that again no evidence he's actually in custody, at least that
Right.
I've seen. And now there's this one former Lebanese porn star, Mia Khalifa, who is saying that she it was forced into pornography. She was apparently a very popular porn star.
Well, let's hold on
Very
right there. Hold on.
popular.
Hold on right there. Okay. So I watched the show called, I think it's called Hard Talk, on BBC, and Mia Khalifa was being interviewed on this serious talk show for about, I don't know whether it's a 45-minute show, whether it's a half hour show, or whether it's an hour show, but she got to say a lot, and she did not indicate that she was she was forced. That she did indicate that there was coercion. Um, but anyway, I thought that that was interesting because it's a show on BBC I watch, and they don't normally have pornography stars on there. So I, I just wish to put that out there. Go ahead, Cliff.
Yeah. So essentially, at least information publicly available, her net worth is somewhere between 3 million and 4 million, and
Yes.
so there's a change.org position for her to be further compensated by these different porn sites. And I posted a lot of videos to Instagram talking about how the the abuse of women is just par for the course for the sex entertainment industry. I'm not saying she hasn't undergone like psychological trauma, or has been negatively affected by her experience.
Right.
But that being said, she's far from like being one of the biggest people victimized when we know there are people like Jessica Collins who have been locked in a cage on
Yeah.
trumped up charges for telling the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, that.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah. Thanks for that segue because I just talked to Jessica after I had not talked to her since Tuesday, and I was very concerned about her. But they just basically held her incommunicado. They're going to push forward a some sort of psychological evaluation for her case before she faces those quote unquote assault charges. Um, and she couldn't make a call, and this is what I thought was very odd. They said that she couldn't make a phone call to let anybody know where she was because they uh they stated that she thought that that Jessica Collins was going to tip someone off, that they were going to run the run the sheriff's vehicle, or the cop car, or whatever they transport her in, that if she was able to make a phone call to let anyone know, she had talked to no one for days before today, and that was the reason given. That they state that they believe that someone would have been notified and run the sheriff's department vehicle off the road to escape for an escape. That the escape wasn't mentioned. Just that somebody was going to run the vehicle off the road. Um, so there's that. And so now she has been in isolation for solitary confinement for 8 weeks now. And they are pushing her to, I mean, and what I know about that, Cliff, I don't know if you remember the videos I made and the radio programs I went on regarding the solitary confinement and the psychological damage done through keeping individuals in the hole, quote unquote. Um, but I find it ironic now that they are attempting to give a psychological evaluation to someone, saying, "Hey, there's issues and problems," and then Jessica Collins says, "Yeah, here's the issues and problems I have, that make me, uh, unhappy, etc. I was trafficked by these individuals," and they say, "No, no, 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 no. That doesn't have anything to do with it. You're just crazy." And of course, we've all seen the videos of the events, and I've given my honest opinions about what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, what government officials have said, what has been seen by thousands and thousands of individuals. Cliff, am I making sense?
Yeah, yeah. It's classic trick. They're going to cause her more psychological distress, and then say, hey, we need to run an evaluation after we further traumatize.
Right, and also, in this psychological evaluation uh memorandum or I think it was a motion. Again, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't. Their language is meaningless. Their writing is their scribbling is meaningless. Their writs hold no water. They have no authority. Um, But in any event, this guy, what's his name? Okay, Accomack County, Spencer. What the heck is that guy's name? Um, Spencer Morgan. Yeah, thank you, Clifford. This guy Spencer Morgan says, "Hey, I think that she might have psychological issues that might keep her from, being able to competently stand trial." And then in the next section, he talks about that she received an 8-hour trial. So she is a pro se attorney. She is presenting the case herself. She is not being represented. She does not know the rules of the court. They're not even abiding by their own rules. And then they run an 8-hour grueling trial, and then the same guy that's running this goes like, "Oh yeah, I think I may be dealing with somebody who is psychologically damaged." So that's why I just put her through this grueling 8-hour trial. Uh, okay, and again, the whole thing is on video. And so what do they do when the whole thing's on video? They disregard the video and bring in like 30 individuals that will all lie for the same thing. And then the judge goes, "Okay, first time DUI, that's a year in jail. Oh, but there's no proof she was driving the car. Well, a year in jail. Okay, and they're holding 3 years for the alleged assault. Nobody's injured. Can you think of somebody going to jail for 4 years for what you all saw on video? I mean, this is what I saw when they gave me that trumped up disorderly conduct charge after they beat me up. The DHS and the Richmond police beat me up and disappeared me in jail, and then you know uh, uh erased video off of my camera, and basically it was obvious I committed absolutely no crime, and there were a bunch of crimes committed against me, and it was all on video, and it was seen by thousands of people as well. But I saw the things where it was like my bond was triple what the mandatory bond was for the crime that I committed. So they have a thing where it's like, "Oh, you can't charge any more than this for bond for this crime, even though I didn't commit any crime." And then they just tripled that and go like, "Okay." So like, it's on video what happened. Nobody was injured. Jessica's telling me that folks are going in and out of the jail, getting bonded out for being, found guilty of things like accessory to murder. And it's not like these individuals are claiming they didn't do it either. You know, uh, uh, assault and battery, grand theft. And what? They gotta keep Jessica in locked up in jail? I mean, have you been seeing all these videos about, where it's like folks are like beating each other down in the grocery store? I mean, are
I've
they?
seen some of these videos.
I mean, compare that to the video where Jessica was assaulted. Assault being someone else puts their hand against, you know, to her, and I'll tell you, there was a case in which I I was uh at the SunTrust Bank building, in front of the SunTrust Bank building, speaking to a candidate for city council, Lee Shoemake, and a Democratic Party operative who was 340 pounds and 6 foot, and I am about, at the time I was probably about 5'8" and 120 pounds, and this guy like started choking me and smacking my head, slamming my head up against a gigantic steel flagpole, which made my skull made dents in it. I remember being beaten almost to unconsciousness and then being thrown down these gigantic, stone steps. And then I guess I lucky I didn't like sprain my ankle or something like that. And I was able to run away from this madman who viciously beat me. A grown woman, a city council member, said she'd never seen anything like that before. I mean, I've seen some beatings in my life, out in the world. Never suffered that kind of beating, even by the police when they put me in the hospital. And basically, the guy had to pay like $150 fine, and they covered up most of it, and that was it. And this guy, and it's in the middle of downtown Richmond, so of course there's lots of surveillance video everywhere. So what did they do? They hid the surveillance video. They covered it up. The police, many officers in the Richmond Police Department, including the police chief, covered that up. But again, even though all of that happened, this guy Gerald C. Wilmore. All right, scooch over, Max. Scooch over, buddy. Come on, scooch. Good boy. Um, he was found guilty, and he didn't spend one day in jail. He spent zero time in jail. And we've seen the video of Jessica Collins, where she was assaulted, and they stuck her in jail. I mean, I just don't. Anyone who looks at this and sees anything other than this is just to shut her up, to keep her from talking about, being a true victim of the DC Madam and being trafficked by the intelligence agencies, the Maryland State Police. I mean, don't forget Ed Norris, the guy everyone knows as one of the co-creators of The Wire. Don't forget that he was found guilty of being running, not running because he was like just kind of one of the lieutenants of a prostitution ring. I mean, so, and this was in Maryland. This is where, Jessica Collins was moved by the Maryland State Police from one place to another to uh be trafficked to the DC elite. So the idea that she's still in jail for a legitimate reason, or that she was ever in jail for a legitimate reason, is ridiculous. And I'll tell you another thing about, if that Mia Khalifa's net worth is $3 to $4 million, all she talked about on Hard Talk was how the entire time, with all the videos that she made, and let me tell you, if you guys didn't know, how I know about her is through BBC. And then when when I started seeing information about her other places, it was because that she had worn a burqa. Is that right? In a pornography scene. Go ahead, Cliff.
Hijab.
Hijab.
She wore
Okay.
a hijab.
Okay, so she was wearing a hijab. Okay. So then she complains.
That was her like kind of thing, or that became the thing that made her sort of infamous.
That was her famous thing. Yeah, that was the only thing I really knew about her. Um, Even after the interview, that was the big thing. And she kept complaining that she'd only made $27,000 or something like that. Not much money. And I mean, I shouldn't be surprised that, just not to take anybody's word for it. If they're on BBC, they're 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 making money. They're not just, living in poverty, which is what she was pretending. This was within this past year, Clifford, that this woman was on television pleading poverty, pleading that she had been done wrong, and now I hear that she is worth $3 to $4 million, and she is raising money that she didn't get paid enough for.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Jessica Collins is in the Virginia Beach jail. She is a political prisoner. She is a prisoner of war, and it's time for her to get out. It's time for them to leave her alone. And you know what? If they did this, then they need to like be be exposed. If it's not true, tell expose her as saying that this stuff's not true.
So I believe it was Bang Bros or Pornhub, one of the places. And let me check the Darvinet platform just for the quick cover story. Um, I'm gonna, because she was given cease and desist letters. So on July 2020, more than 1.5 million people signed a Change.org campaigning for her videos to be removed from sites like Pornhub and Bang Bros, and her internet domains returned to her. Bang Bros sent her a cease and desist letter and set up a website to dispute statements she made about the company over the years as being defamatory. According to the website, she earned over $178,000 from Bang Bros and their affiliates, and was in the adult industry for more than 2 years. So there's a lot of contradictions with this story. Like, she says she was only in the porn industry for 3 months. Other people are saying she's been there for 2 years. I believe allegedly. I don't know if she said it, but she only did 12 videos. Then that seems to be impossible. Like, on her own profile on one of these websites, there's hundreds of videos. So unless they're all just clips of the same 12, that seems impossible. So it's really it just, I mean, and in that BBC interview, or at least the one I saw, I presume it was the same one, he talks about having low self esteem and seeking validation. So when I hear this, I'm thinking, okay, they just using this damaged woman to cover up the real like sex trafficking and sexual abuse going on? Is she getting paid to do this? Is she getting paid under the table for this? Like, or are they just using her neuroses like at a convenient time to help cover up their more severe crimes? Like, it's just very bizarre how this stuff happens at particular times.
It is bizarre because, like I said, I didn't expect to be watching an interview with a porn star that I hadn't heard of, you know, on BBC. And like I really hadn't didn't expect to see anything like that. Never heard of her. Who is this person? Oh, okay. I guess she's really famous. Oh, that's why. That's a really political move. Like that's really a political thing to make a pornography video wearing a hijab. And that anyone would have to know how that would how that would go over. So then,
Yeah.
yeah,
So go ahead.
well, it then it's just like even being one with discernment, I start thinking like, oh wow, is that right that they didn't pay her any money? Wow, I bet they made a lot of money. That was like they said that was the most popular pornography movie of that year or something like that. And so it's like okay, it must have made money. Oh, and they didn't pay her. Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't surprise me, but like I'm not sure if I believe this. But, at least she, I guess she's not becoming a millionaire, but in fact, she is a millionaire. And of course, like with a lot of these Epstein victims, like they are victims, and then they're also perpetrators on top of being victims because they were victimized at first, and then they also went on to victimize other of the clients, and of course the clients the clients were the billionaires, the politicians, the Hollywood stars, but the other uh, underage sex slaves for Epstein. And I really think that they're misrepresenting how all this stuff was going on. But yeah, most of the ones they said that there were thousands of victims of Epstein. So why are we only seeing like a dozen in the media? There's thousands, thousands. So we're seeing a fraction of a percentage. So yeah, I'm sure they had these folks picked out that they were going to be the ones the go-to individuals before this story even broke. That's the other thing you brought up, Ghislaine Maxwell. It's like I've been talking about Ghislaine Maxwell for almost 10 years now. So so the so the FBI, it took them 10 years after everyone who listened to me knew about Ghislaine Maxwell and her role in this. It took them that long. We weren't sure. We didn't know. And like Cliff says, who says she's even locked up? Who says that she's even alive? Who says that, you know, I mean, they haven't verified anything. They haven't said anything. I can tell you what this seems to be is like an attack on Trump because you
Yeah, it up.
what gets me, Cliff, is the fact that we were putting all this Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein stuff out years and years and years ago. So why did it have no traction then? And now everybody and their brother is posting pictures of Epstein and and uh, and Maxwell and Trump. Because I remember back in the day when we were posting it, we would always get the old, "Oh, that's a fake picture. Oh, that didn't happen. Oh, Trump, kicked him out when he found out what he was doing in Mar-a-Lago." I mean, you remember all that stuff going back to 2015, probably. Oh, that's a fake photo of Trump and
Yeah.
Epstein. I got the old. It's a fake photo of Kanye West in the Black Eye Club, and like every time. I mean, this is how I got to the discernment thing on social media, because every time somebody would say something was fake, I would look it up and go like, no, it's real. Oh, folks just say that, like they think that individuals. I mean, it's an effective move. Oh, that's fake. It's not fake. But in any event, now it's everywhere. There's like these, you know, collages of, a dozen pictures with Epstein and Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell all together. They're showing it on the news. There's a controversy that they left Melania in a picture with Ghislaine Maxwell, but cut out Trump, even though Trump was in the picture. I mean, again, if you think, if one thinks that that Biden is any less of a child rapist than Donald Trump is, I mean, you're wrong. And like this is what I said on election night. Uh, the only interview I did on election night 2016 was with Al Alam TV. So I don't know how many other Americans they had on there that night. I know at least Scott Rickert was on there. That's Scott Rickert, former NSA agent on Al Alam television. You know, I used to talk to him on the phone every now and again. Um, but in any event, Scott Rickard and I, at least, were, I don't know whether they had other Americans, but he and I were on there. And I remember pointing out that whoever won the election was rigged. Turns out that bared out to be true, because George Soros owned the Smartmatic voting machines. He bailed out Donald Trump. He and Donald Trump transfer money back and forth a lot, blah, blah, blah. And also that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were both tied in to the same child rape ring. So if you think that one is better than the other, if one thinks that Donald Trump is better or worse than Joe Biden, or that Donald Trump was more or less of a child rapist than Hillary Clinton, I mean, you just don't know anything. I mean, I see that they're setting it up for Trump to lose, but I'll tell you right now, Joe Biden is a child rapist, and he is one of the worst human beings on planet Earth. And if he wasn't, he would never get the nomination for president. If he wasn't, he would never have been elected to his first elected office. If he wasn't, he would have never been a senator in the United States Senate. And the same with every judge and every lawyer. If they weren't the biggest scumbags in the world, they would not be they would not be in their position, because everyone is a compromised dirtbag that is in any official position in the United States government or in any corporate governance. It's the same freaking thing. Um, Cliff, uh, where
Yeah.
where where do you think we should take it? Yeah, let's go to that 32% of didn't pay their rent or mortgage. 32%. did not pay rent. And that's 32%, as I said before. So this has got to be a problem because, like, what I know about renting, leasing, and mortgages is that there's fees after you don't pay. Sometimes it's 3 days. I've had rent places where they say, oh, if it's 3 days late, you pay this fee, and it's for each additional day. It's this. So they say as of July the 7th, 32% of U.S. households missed their July housing payments. So, like, 32%, I would say less than 32% of the population is going to vote for the next president of the United States. I'll say that with confidence. I would say that would probably be about a quarter of the population. Cliff, what do you think about that? You think that's accurate?
I mean, that's probably accurate. I'm just wondering if that's what the media is going to report. I have a feeling it's going to be that, but they're going to lie and say it's more or something.
Well, what do they normally say? It's like 52% of the population, votes for president. That's what they might say it's higher.
Yeah, that's what they say about half. They say like about half of Americans don't vote.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we'll say a little less than half. And so then we'll take half of so a little less than half, that's 50. So then if somebody's going to probably get like maybe 51% of the vote or 52% of the vote, which has been unusual lately, then yeah, that would be around 25, 26% of the population actually votes for president. This is where I get into, and obviously it's all rigged. Your vote doesn't count, and voting is for slaves. Um, we've been saying that for years. But this is what I tell to voters, even when they get into this thing about they really think that there's a difference between the two sides. I say if you vote for one, you're voting for both. I mean, because, at the end of the day, if voting is accurate and like somebody is really putting, that much credence in the outcome of this so-called election, which obviously, as we all know, is rigged, um, then at the end of the day, it's like a quarter of the population that gets the outcome that they wished for. So that's like 75%. Half the voters don't get the outcome that they wish for. And the others don't get the outcome they wish for because they didn't even bother to participate. And so they obviously say, hey, like, I'm going to lose either way. And so why would I waste my time? That's what I say about it. Um, there's more to it than that. I would never give consent to this criminal, treasonous, usurping government. It's not my government. They don't listen to me. They're my enemy. Why would I vote for my enemy? So about half the population thinks that. The other half thinks that one side or the other is the enemy. So to 75% of the voters, the enemy always wins. Cliff, this makes sense to you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that is why I tell all Democrats and Republicans, whenever you vote and you lose and you're who you voted for or pressed a button for, voted for. Whoever you pressed a button, then that electronic uh, button pressing disappears, whatever individual you intended to have win the election and the other individual wins, not the one you pressed the electronic button for or quote unquote voted for, you voted for the other guy. For example, I'm watching, I guess, the Premier League highlights just ended. So, in order to have, a game, one side or the other has to, but two sides have to show up. It's binary. So, if the Yankees play the Red Sox, both teams have to show up. Now, I guess one could forfeit and not show up, but like if all the games are forfeited, you'd have what we have now. Nothing. It's nothing. So if it is one versus another, Trump versus Biden, and let's say one votes for Trump and Biden wins, then you just voted for Joe Biden. You by your participation and participating in something that is already predetermined and rigged and subject to zero oversight, you voted for your opponent. So 75% of the population will get who they verify as their enemy as their leader. Again, we might just say half the people because half the voters, because all those who don't participate in these rigged elections already know that whoever wins, it's going to be their enemy. Whoever wins, it's your enemy.
Seconds.
Cliff, I guess we're gonna keep going a little while longer. We might go into like maybe like 10 or 15 minutes into overtime. Why did it say 90 seconds?
I want to get into the connection between the
Okay.
military and like sex work because I'm looking at Mia Khalifa's
60 seconds.
Wikipedia profile. Khalifa attended Master Newton Military Academy and then moved to Texas to attend college. She graduated from the University of Texas at El Paso with a bachelor's arts degree in history. And she also, after her foreign career, became a sports commentator. So, sports, military, sex work, all those three. So there's this old armory in San Francisco called I'm forgetting what it's called, but it's a place where they used to sell porn. Oh man, my blanking. Well, no, it was actually just called the armory, and so it used to be a military base, and then they used it to shoot porn. This Mia Khalifa,
10 seconds.
It's all a military operation.
Yeah, it's all a military operation, and that's Massanutten Military Academy. I don't know if that is even still open right now. Massanutten Military Academy. What I know about Massanutten is it's like a ski resort around here. Yeah, it looks like it's still open. That's grades 5 through 12 in Woodstock, Virginia. It is probably fairly close to, like, say, Peters Mountain, I would say. Yeah, so this is all a military intelligence operation, certainly. And, yeah, what was I going to say about, I was going to say something anyway. Yeah, definitely a military intelligence operation. Max, that's enough. That's enough, buddy. You got it. Yeah, this is getting absurd to the levels to which this is just wide out in the open. Wide out in the open. And sports commentator, I mean the sports stuff is getting ridiculous. Like they still are putting on Sports Center Right now, okay, sports. They're doing this uh this like MLS Cup thing. Um, no fans, no none of it. What's the point? What's the point? I guess gambling. That's always the point. So I guess ask a silly question, get an obvious answer. Gambling. Um, yeah, this stuff is really beyond disturbing. And let's talk about this because we haven't talked about this one. Uh, Amazon joins Target, Walmart in removing Washington NFL team merchandise. So, as of right now, the football team in Washington is still called the Redskins. See, I'll show you something right now um, to verify that. I don't know if y'all can see that, but here in just a little bit, Redskins Nation. So that's what's coming up on TV here locally in the in Virginia is Redskins Nation. But I just like to point out that a couple weeks ago they removed this guy George Preston Marshall, who was the creator of the Redskins, from from the Redskins history, and they renamed the lower bowl at FedEx Field. Um, actually, I I've only sat in the lower bowl once at FedEx Field. That was I think it was a 1999 Redskins Giants game. Um, but it was called named after George Preston Marshall, the the founder of the Redskins, and they took him out, and now they're talking about changing the name of the team, and the minority owners, the ones that hold the minority stake, um, uh, Daniel Snyder, the Ashkenazi, is of course the owner of the team. He's the billionaire controller of the team, I should say. And they don't that that's going to be like bad news for the Redskins. But again, is the NFL even going to play anymore? Like what are these what's the purpose of these sports anymore? Like I said before, every Black Lives, I mean, excuse me, Freudian slip. Premier League game, an MLS game, they make these like announcements, like the broadcasters say with such a sincere voice, a very unique, specific political propaganda kind of idea, and now they're getting rid of the entire names of the teams. Like, I'll tell you, when I was a little kid, my all my family were, they rooted for the Redskins, but I liked it because of the Indian, because I really liked Indians when I was a little kid. So I never thought of anything to do with the Redskins as being disrespectful. That's why I liked it, because I was showing my respect and how much I liked uh, Indians, American Indians, Native Americans, whatever. And I don't even like they're not Native Americans, American Indians. Um, so it was out of my admiration that I became such a huge Redskins fan as a child, and I don't know what to say. It's ridiculous, and I'll tell you another thing. It is absurd that the Supreme Court is still making decisions that are binding. What the eastern third of Oklahoma is given now to the Cherokee. I mean, okay, I guess they fought for it. They were the last Confederates to now now there were two bands of Confederates. Some fought for the Confederacy, some fought for the Union, but the last Confederates to surrender uh, were the Cherokee. And so, with all this denigration against the Confederacy, it's now Native Americans who owned slaves and fought for the Confederacy that are just being given. No other ethnic group is just given land like that. I mean, I advocate for that. I do. I mean, this is a. I mean, in some ways, one could consider this a pan-Germanic country. Some one might not pan like pansexual like uh like Clifford was talking about earlier, but like pan-Germanic, pan-Germanism. I advocate for that, and you know it's the opposite of that because the Western Europeans who created this country were having our land taken away and given away to other ethnic groups. Um, so yeah, this is getting absurd. This is really getting ridiculous. But yeah, Cliff, what are your thoughts on the Redskins changing their name and the Cleveland Indians
Well,
too?
I feel like I feel like at least with the Redskins, part of this is supposed to be good PR for Jeff Bezos, which I saw someone post on Instagram a screenshot of what I presume is Twitter of an account called "Has Jeff Bezos decided to end like world hunger or poverty?" I'll see if I can find that. Just so I
Right.
know exactly what it was saying.
Well, now we're really getting into like the heart of the matter because everyone's getting real worked up about whether somebody's wearing a mask, whether they're not wearing a mask. They're talking about like whether they're going to change the name of the Cleveland Indians. They don't even. It's not even like a team right now. There's no games played. So like once you stop playing baseball games, then like you don't even need you know a team name. It's not a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no games. Like
Yeah,
why would
that's
you need?
right. It's like your identity is your fan. So it's like if there's no fans attending, like what's the point?
Yeah, what exactly? Exactly. What's the point? What's the fuck? I mean, what's the point? What, to pay these guys millions of dollars to pay these degenerate, you know, SOBs? And I remember back in 2012 when they were going to use all this taxpayer money to bring the Redskins training camp to Richmond. So here's another thing that they pick these locations for the race war psyops, and I was pointing out that there was a cooperation between Bon Secours Hospital and the Washington Redskins, and they were swapping all of this land. The Bon Secours is the Catholic Church, in case you didn't know. That's who owns it. They're swapping all this state and city-owned government land. They're getting these leases where they pay zero net money for 50-year leases for this property, and this is going on in the neighborhoods where I work and where I reside. And so we said, the NFL is a shakedown. It's garbage. And some other folks were saying like, oh, these NFL players, they're child rapists, and folks were laughing, they were mocking us. Not everybody. Those in the know were agreeing with us, saying what a waste it was, saying what a shakedown it was for the taxpayers and the entire NFL, the entire Catholic Church, the entire hospital system. We were talking, and this was just 8 years ago. And now to see how our what we had been pointing out, which was obvious to us at the time, has become pretty much common knowledge. I see posts about the NFL now where, I mean, anybody mentions the NFL and it's like, who cares? NFL sucks. You know, who's going to watch this? And their ratings keep going down, and their attendance keeps going down. But again, now it's zero. And here in Richmond, the two of the largest school districts around here, Richmond and Chesterfield County, Richmond City and Chesterfield County, are saying, "Hey, we gotta do like total virtual learning, no in school starting in the fall." And like I'll tell you, they couldn't run a school, they couldn't operate the schools the way it was. That's why they had to create these fake, gun hoaxes and mass shootings and stuff like that. Not that there wasn't a problem with violence at schools. It's the teachers were beating up the students, the cops were beating up the students were beating up the teachers, the students were beating up each other en masse. They just couldn't run a school anymore. Chesterfield County had Legionnaire's disease in its water supply at 12 different schools. There was a problem with the air ducts. They were losing children every day on the buses. They just couldn't run that stuff anymore. So now they just shut it down. And remember, schools, that was the excuse to take everybody's guns away. Oh, man. All these students, we got to have gun control. And now they shut down the schools. Man, I'll tell you, this stuff, it's crazy. They can't run schools. That's why there's in-home learning. They don't want cash. They don't want coins. They're getting rid of that. That's why they're making up an excuse that there's not enough. There's not enough because they control how much is made. And they didn't make enough. Ooh, yeah, that's like inviting somebody over to dinner and going like, "Oh, I only made enough for me. So, like, sorry, it wasn't my fault. I invited you to dinner, but I didn't make enough." Uh, I mean, come on. What? I mean, does anybody expect us to buy any of this stuff? And like, the only thing that like would make anybody else buy it, unless they're mind warped or weak, and that's their neuroses, is pressure from other individuals. And that's what I used to hear all the time. It's like, Chris, you can't talk about this. These folks, they don't want to hear that. And like, they're sensitive. They won't hang out with you if you say this. They don't want to be around you if you say this. They don't, and now it's like, it's the opposite. Nobody has any freedom, and they start, getting self righteous about having certain opinions. And I'll tell you, at the beginning of the week, one of the local news channels brought up this thing, basically one of those stupid Twitter questions: masked or no mask? Like, question mark. And so I'm like, I don't wear a slave mask, for a fake pandemic or for an overhyped pandemic. And I got so attacked. And you know, I I responded back. I responded in kind, and somebody starts posting after talking to my brother, who's a professor in biology at VCU Medical Center. I'm going to start confronting people who are not wearing masks, and then I posted, well, that's stupid. That is stupid. And he's like, I'm just going to start with you, tough guy, like talking to me, and I'm like, I don't think you will. And I'm like, come try. But and then something weird happened. Then these folks started calling me a Holocaust denier, and then a racist. And of course, I respond to the same way I do every time I respond to someone who makes the accusation of quote unquote Holocaust denier, and that is, one cannot deny a work of fiction. One calling another a Holocaust denier is akin, or exactly the same, I should say, to one calling another an Alice in Wonderland denier or a Wizard of Oz denier. Holocaust denier equals Wizard of Oz denier because one cannot deny something that didn't happen. Um, am I making myself clear? I mean, it really is too bad that the National Socialists were, at least at the highest leadership positions, failed the German people and failed the people of the world, the people of the civilized world. Because if they really did believe their rhetoric, and they were, which they didn't, some of them may have, they were right, they were correct. And the stuff goes way back, way back. Nobody has ever trusted the Ashkenazi. Nobody ever. Clifford, that little meme we were putting out where it was the happy merchant mom and son with the teacher. Let me see if I can find that one. That was that was one of the best ones I've ever seen. And I'm not a huge fan of the happy merchant. I do prefer the old National Socialist uh, um, animation over the Happy Merchant, but that one was funny. That one was really funny. I just Hitler's Jewish soldiers, funny, funny stuff. Um, yeah, but where is that? If anyone doesn't know, I just saw it. I'm scrolling and it's for some reason not letting me. It's like scrolling either like one post every like 10 or 15 seconds, or it's like scrolling like 20, like every second during the scroll. So let's see if I can find that. Oh, Army 4-star general will co-lead Manhattan Project style effort to create and distribute COVID-19. So like think about that headline right there. This is armytimes.com. Army 4-star will co-lead Manhattan Project style effort to create and distribute COVID-19 vaccine. So like they're going to create a nuclear weapon vaccine to like annihilate the planet. Okay, yeah, here it is. This
Seems comparison.
yeah, repeat that again, Cliff, if you could.
It seems to be an odd comparison to like say this Manhattan Project effort. Like what?
Yeah, well, the Manhattan Project. I mean, we all know what that was for. That was to create the hydrogen. I mean, the atomic bomb. So, um, Yeah, if it's to create a atomic bomb, so it's like saying that this vaccine is going to be a weapon of mass destruction. That's my interpretation. That's how I decode that message. Okay. Yeah, here it is. This is really funny. Your son has been expelled 109 times. Yes, but it's never been his fault. It's always the school's persecuting him for no reason. I mean that is hilarious. Uh, that is one of the funniest things I've seen because it's like what we always say. It's like they didn't kick English people out of every country. You know, they didn't kick German people out of every country. They didn't kick Nigerian people out of every country. They don't you know, kick the Arabs out of every country. It's just this one group that they kick out of everywhere. And it's like it's like they're weird false negatives. It's like, oh, everybody hates us. Okay. Why? Why does everybody hate you? Why? Oh, this, that, and the other reason why. Oh, you hoard the money, you spread the disease, you mind control the people. Oh, okay, all right. I'm starting to get it now. Okay, yeah, maybe we should expel them again. And like the ultimate with that you know, the ultimate reason, you know, for, you know, exposing the Holocaust, the so-called Holocaust hoax, is to show, to display that this didn't happen, and this was like their ultimate, you know, um, double switcheroo, because they gained all the wealth when they were actually, you know, accusing others of stealing their wealth. The state of Israel was created. They were kicking. I mean, this is why. I mean, this is why Patton was murdered after after the end of World War II, because he said, "Hey, we fought on the wrong side, and guess what? I'm not going to kick German people out of their houses so we can bring all these like Eastern European Jews and put them in there." But that's what happened. That's what happened. So that's the reality. And their cover story is that there were 6 million Jews killed, and that's impossible, because that would have meant that after the war there would have only been 6 million Jews, but after the war there was more than 12 million Jews. It was the only ethnic group that did not lose percentages of their population during the Second World War. So in any event, there you have it. I mean, it's all a lie. Everything you're being told from the mainstream media, unless they're saying like the Holocaust is a hoax. I mean, this is another thing. Do you hear these other so-called Zionist whistleblowers telling you that the Holocaust is a complete hoax? I mean, maybe one or two of them. And do they tell you, hey, it's go ahead.
They're very specific. Like, so someone like Elon Osman, that Mossad agent, he definitely doesn't say it's a complete hoax. Like the most they'll do typically is say that it's being abused. It's the narrative that is being used to scam people out of money and justify their abuse specifically of Palestinians. But that's just the
It's
script
that
they're working
too.
from.
It's
There,
that
I mean, there are.
Yeah, it's that too.
Go ahead.
No, no, I was just saying it is that as well. It is those. It is those. It are. Excuse me. It is those things as well, on top of being a complete fabrication, which is the most important part, because it didn't happen. It's a complete fabrication, And um, you know, I just don't. I mean, there were Jews fighting in Hitler's army. I mean, what else can you say? It's like they're like, why not? I guess. Like,
They were maternity ward.
yeah,
Like you're not going to be able to square that circle.
yeah, you can't square the circle because like if they were trying to get rid of the Jews, they would just like, like forward like abortion. They would end the pregnancies. They don't have to be like smashing baby skulls or anything, which is what they said that they were doing. But they could abort them. But the issue with that is that it's the Jews that push abortion. So like they never push abortion on themselves. Yeah, yeah, maternity wards in the concentration camps, the camps, the camp getaways. The Jews they love camps like the Catskills and all that other. They always send their kids to quote unquote summer camps. They vacation at camps. They love camps, and they love those too, and they still love them because it gives them their cover story. Oh yeah, U.S. Roman Catholic Church received at least $1.4 billion in taxpayer-funded PPP loans. So the devil is getting richer. The devil is creating this hellscape on earth. Wells Fargo readying thousands of job cuts to start in 2020. Cut them all. Cut them all. Did you know for over 50 years tourists were told this was the original gas chamber at Auschwitz, but since the famous forensic test concluded there was no trace of gassings ever taking place here, now tourists are told that gas chamber is a reconstruction. Okay, all right, all right. All right. Just like Auschwitz says, 4 million Jews were killed here. And then they go like, it was only 2 million. Oh, but the number's still 6 million. Don't worry about that. So anyway, Cliff, closing thoughts. We just kind of did the wing it job tonight for the People of God broadcast. Um, check out the website. Check out the covenant. Uh, just to close out a little bit more, a couple weeks ago, uh, or maybe it was last week. It was the week with the Mundy. Was that last week? William Mundy.
Was that last week or the week
It
before?
might have been the week before. I'm not sure, but
That the week before the 4th of July.
oh, the week before. Okay, the 4th of July. Okay, yeah. So they shut down my PayPal account, so I'm not able to receive money at this point. Um, through donations or book sales. So don't donate money to my PayPal because I am banned from PayPal for some reason. And so that's after years of utilizing this thing called PayPal. But as soon as we get our infrastructure straight, we're going to start giving memberships out, membership certificates, and we're going to ordain individuals once they go through a curriculum, People of God curriculum. And we're looking forward to that because the purpose of that is to not only separate ourselves from society, but use that as a legal writ in order to gain control of all the weapons of war, all the land uh, around the world, and all the valuation and issuance of currency, control of the weapons of war, and the valuation of the currency is our goal. And what we have already achieved is complete separation from from uh, uh, this society. We're expecting the worst. 11,000 eviction cases ready to be heard in court, and that's just in the city of Richmond. Yeah, 11,000 eviction cases ready to be heard in court. So, all right, we'll end it there. Thanks for joining us. Please remember, political prisoner Jessica Collins, who's in Virginia Beach, Virginia jail. Call them up. Say she needs to be let go. She needs to be allowed out, and call the Accomack County courthouse and say they need to rescind their criminal orders, and that we know that they're crimes. All right, so yeah, this is a real travesty. So there's mass evictions here for Richmond and throughout the country, and I presume throughout the world. So uh, look out for that. This is Chris Dorsey signing off. Peace and God bless.